Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by King Saladeen Johnson, aka King Saladeen. Since the age of 5, art has been an important part of Saladeen's life. While dreams of being an artist seemed far-fetched growing up in West Philadelphia, Saladeen focused on his basketball career, which flourished in high school and into college until a car accident forced him to redirect his attention back toward art. Saladeen's latest NFT project, the JP Effect, pays tribute to his late friend, John JP Thompson, for pushing him to take his art career to the professional level. King Saladeen, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing, man? Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're doing well. We're excited to have you on the pod. And I want to start up with how we met. And that was a few weeks ago in Atlanta at the Gift Goat event. Crazy. And so just to lay a little context down for our audience of what that means, what the Gift Goat event is, Gary Vaynerchuk has his NFT project, which is called VeeFriends. And one of the tokens as part of that collection is called the Gift Goat. And the utility behind that is the ability to get 18 gifts over 3 years. So basically 6 times a year. And this event in Atlanta was kind of above and beyond that promised utility, where it was this pop-up event where we had the chance to meet and interact with yourself. You were announced as Gift Goat artist number 8. And then Shaquille O'Neal was basically the next speaker. So you opened for Shaq, which is a huge deal.
Well, it was crazy. And then they gave me the Grammy, like, hurry it up, Shaq's ready. And I was like, I didn't even know he was behind me. So that was like crazy.
So how did that collaboration come together, and what did that whole experience feel like for you?
Well, the experience felt like, it felt kind of unreal because, I grew up playing basketball, loving Shaq, just got familiar like the last 5 years with Gary V. So it was unreal, and it was on a basketball court. They had the lights. It was ridiculous, bro. So that was like unreal for me. How the situation happened was pretty much I met Gary V at National, so the big baseball card convention, trading convention, and just one of the guys, I was walking around and I seen him at the VeeFriends booth, and I'm just like, oh wow. So my manager's like, yo, you gotta go over there and talk to him. So when I went over there, everybody was, getting everything signed, they're taking pictures with him. And I'm like, I don't really wanna be that guy, you know what I mean? I just wanna maybe give him one of my baseball cards and just like say hello. I ain't want nothing signed, I didn't want nothing from him. So when I went over there, I was just like, Gary, I don't want pictures. I don't want anything from you. I just want to give you one of my baseball cards and just tell you how inspirational you are to me, And he was like, wow, I really like this card. And he gave me a VeeFriends pack. So it was my first time really seeing the VeeFriends trading cards. So I opened them up and I was just like, wow, this is crazy. So I didn't think nothing past that. And I'm going to say maybe a month later, I get a DM from Gary V, and it's like, what's up? And I'm like, okay, what's up? You know what I mean? So, but in the midst of that time, I have been, following VeeFriends and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, wow, JP the Money Bear and my IP and everything I got going on in my team would be perfect to collaborate with VeeFriends. This is all thoughts in my head. So when he called me, I'm kind of like almost like when the algorithm, when you think of something and then it pops up on your phone, yeah. I'm like, is this like some crazy algorithm in the world going on right now? So, wow. So he wound up asking me, he really liked my work. He really liked the vinyl toys and things like that we were doing. He wanted to maybe do something like that for the Gift Goats. But I was telling him the time frame would be kind of crazy because it takes a long time. Supply chains acting real crazy, getting stuff from here to China and everywhere. So I was saying that probably would take maybe 6 to 7 months if we rushed it. And he was like, well, I got an event coming up just for my gift goat community. And I think I need it then. It's like maybe a month away. And I'm like, oh, a month away. So I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm an artist. Like all these toys and trading cards, everything came strictly from me painting and then getting these different opportunities. So I'm like, well, how about I just paint it? I paint like an original painting of JP like meets the gift goat. And then we can kind of work it out and brainstorm how we can like, you know, because everybody couldn't get this one painting. So I'm like, okay, let's make prints and maybe make an NFT. You know what I mean? Like, so he was like, okay, so his whole team, you know, they already got all the ideas down. They started throwing different things at us. Everything was just based on time. So it worked out perfect how we could show the original piece to everybody, let the gift goats know what they were going to get as utility, limited prints, 1 of 5 different colorways, and an NFT. So we thought that would be pretty cool, you know what I mean? And everybody loved it. So it worked out great.
So can you tell us, like, I've seen the artwork for the 8th gift, but can you sort of explain a little bit more for those listening or watching right now? They may not have actually seen the artwork. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about it and tell us the story behind the art itself?
So pretty much the art itself was just like JP the Money Bear meeting the gift goat. So I wanted it to have it like, I don't know, in my head, you know, I always watch cartoons. I love cartoons and things like that. So I was like, and VeeFriends is very cartoonish, very like inspirational. JP is more pop art. We can turn it into a cartoon. It's like it could go all over the place. You know what I mean? So I thought it was going to be like a perfect marriage for them to meet each other and then like spread their gifts, because JP being my best friend, noticed my gift, you know, a long time ago before anybody ever thought of me or me even thinking that I could be an artist. So I was like, I think is my best friend as being like the GOAT, you know what I mean? One of the greatest of all time, because like you don't get a lot of friends that kind of see the greatness inside of you and really try to pull it out. You know what I mean? Some friends are like, yeah, you can do that, but you should just play basketball. You should just keep playing basketball. Nobody's an artist. You know what I mean? So he was one of them people that was just like, bro, everybody plays basketball, but when I see your art, I don't know anybody. And he's like, bro, I can't even draw a stick man. So the stuff I'm seeing you do gotta be different. You know what I mean? So he was just like pushing me towards it, got me to quit my job, all kinds of crazy stuff. Bought my first paintings. It was crazy. So I thought that would be a perfect situation to have JP meet the gift goat and visualize that pretty much like if it was almost like a cartoon cover like Ren and Stimpy or something like that, where it's like they're just both like, you know what I mean? Like, hey guys, you know what I'm saying? So that was really the visual behind it, was just like, let me do a cool JP and then do my version of the gift goat, because it was the gift goat, but it kind of like had a lot of JP futuristics and stuff like that to it. And also, I wanted to implement one of the utilities that I don't think it was for the gift goat though, but when we were sitting with Gary Vee and his team, they were showing me like these cool starter jackets that they were going to give out like later on to different holders. And I was thinking like, wow, let me put that jacket on JP, write the gifted on the front. It was just like a whole lot of like on the spot thoughts. And I was kind of like, let me get all this stuff together. I just really wanted to make it look cool and really like, just like it went together, like totally looked together. You know what I mean? So that's the idea behind everything. I just wanted to introduce JP into the VeeFriends world.
Yeah, as a gift goat holder myself, I was stoked as soon as I saw the art. I thought it was such a cool combination of kind of the two worlds coming together. And one last question on that gift goat event before we jump into your own backstory and talking about the JP effect is, you know, at that event, one thing I really respected about yourself is that, you know, you really took the time to get to know the community, to have those conversations. You know, later on, we had our own event that wasn't really part of the official event, and you were there and you were having the conversations with the different members of the community. So just in terms of that perspective, those conversations, those relationships, what did you get from that event? Like, was there some positive benefit for you in engaging with that community?
I mean, it was all positive because honestly, I haven't been in Atlanta for like in a couple years. So, and it's so crazy. My friend actually lived in that building right there at Atlantic Station. So The last time I was there, I was literally staying in that building that was next to where the basketball court was. So it was just like full circle everything when I got there, right? So I'm like, I wanted to do something too. I was like, all right, the event was a few hours, and then everybody was congregated outside after the event, and they were just like, yo, we love your story. We were just talking, and they're like, yo, you got to come to our turn up tonight. And I'm like, all right, where is it? Because I was already like, yo, I want to do something. I didn't want to just like, go back in the room after this crazy event, right? So they were like, yeah, it's gonna be right across the street. We're turning up. I forget the guy's name, the one that wore
Shiv.
Shivs, right? So he's like, yeah, I bought the whole club out, yeah, free food, free everything. And I'm like, all right, we there. Because you know what I mean? Like, my biggest thing was like to really interact with everybody anyway. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like I came and I was like, oh, I just want to do what I need to do and then I'm out of here. You know what I mean? It was like, I'm trying to meet everybody seriously. You know what I mean? So that was a fun night, man. I didn't expect it to be that fun. and I've never played beer pong ever in my life. And I made it to the Final Four. So that was crazy.
Natural talent.
It was dope. That was dope, man. So the positive things I got from it was literally like, I got to tell my story earlier, you know, with Shaq and Gary V at the event. But later on, I got to hear everybody else's story, where they were from, how long they've been in the crypto, just stuff that wasn't even about crypto or NFTs. It was just like their life and like how my story reflected to their life. And I met one guy who came with his dad, and his dad was like, I don't do NFTs. My son does that, but I want original art. I want to do original painting. So It was just like all kinds of cool talks and interactions. And also my team got to meet everybody. So Jason is just like literally connecting, just like he connected us for this phone call, this podcast. Yeah. So this podcast is just like, it's just crazy, man. It was just like a perfect day, literally a perfect day.
I love it. You guys are making me jealous. I wish I was at the event.
Yo, why didn't you come?
He's not a gift code holder.
I'm not a gift code holder, yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, man. Well, I'm sure he told you all the stories and got some video and everything.
It sounds like a great time. I'm glad I can at least catch up with you and hear the stories now.
Yeah, it was dope. It was really, really cool, man.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to go back to your story a little bit and start off, you know, right when you were a little boy and when you got into artwork. Because my understanding is, you know, you were around 5 years old or so when you started getting into art. And I'm just wondering, you know, what was your inspiration? Did you have anyone in your life pushing you to get into artwork, or was it just something you started doing and had a natural sort of inclination for?
So it was totally natural. My grandfather, he dibbled and dabbled in art, and he tells me stories all the time where he was like the kid in the school who would like set up things for like the auditorium and when they had plays and things like that. So he was like, he wanted to be an artist, but it was no direction, or, you know, being from the inner city, it wasn't a whole bunch of art programs for kids and things like that. So he wound up, you know, being like everybody else, getting a job, getting married, having kids, and kind of leaving that as a kid thing. You know what I mean? So my uncle was actually an artist and still is. He's like super dope. And I try to get him in the studio all the time to just work with me and do things, right? But he's like, I don't know. It's like sometimes like if you don't get the opportunity young, or if you don't really go for it, you kind of like, your dreams kind of like die out, and you're just like, you know, and he didn't have a JP. I would probably be the same way if I didn't have like a JP type friend that was super pushing me to do this, right? So art was always in my family, but nobody ever took it to the next level and was able to like, you know, live off art and, you know, do the things that I'm blessed to do right now. So it's always been with me. I remember art, like personal family art, always being in my grandmother's house. Like my uncle would do paintings and things like that, and they would hang them up. So I always asked when I was a kid, like, well, who did this painting? Because I would go to my friends' houses and nobody had art on the wall. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, it's kind of different in here. You know what I mean? Like most people had like, you know, Jordan posters and little stuff like that. But we had like framed art in my grandmother's house. So it's always been around me. My most vivid memories are probably around 5, because prior to that, you know, I don't know, you know, but
who really remembers before that?
Yeah. So art's always been my thing though, because I remember my mom like saving and framing the artwork that I did in school. Like I would like draw the house or draw our house or draw my family's vacation house in Jersey and things like that. Like just like experiences, but I wasn't thinking that like, okay, I'm going to do this for something. It was just like my expression, like how I got my point across. I don't know. Or it was just crazy. So, and a lot of things like that kept me out of trouble. as a young guy, I stayed in the house a lot until I moved to another part of Philadelphia, and that's what got me into basketball. So me just doing artwork and creating on jean jackets and painting on sneakers, and I was a kid that liked to skate a lot. Everybody in my neighborhood in that part of Philadelphia was like going to skating rings. Skating rings was like the thing, right? So I used to like pay people used to pay me like $20 to like paint their skates, write their name, North Philly, West Philly, write my girlfriend's name on the side of my skates and make our skates match and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
I remember being able to always like make an extra couple dollars just doing something that super came natural. So that was one of the inspirations, because when I was young, everybody liked it. So it's kind of like anything you do as a kid and everybody's like, oh, you're like, okay, I think I should be doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Keep doing that.
Exactly. So like art's always been with me. I remember like getting in trouble, like getting real trouble with my mom for writing on my walls in my room. And I don't know why I wanted to write on the walls, but it was kind of like the thought was like, if this is my room, right, it should look the way I wanted to look. But she's like, no, you can't write on the walls. And so she would paint over stuff. And I was still like, write on the walls real small and then put like sneaker boxes in front of it. And then she's cleaning. She's like, you wrote on this wall again? And I'm like, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? It got to the point where she was just like, look, you can write on your walls, do your thing in your room, but nothing in the kitchen, nothing in the living room, nothing in the hallways. Just keep this in your room. So I think like her giving me that opportunity to really like be as creative as I wanted to in my room, that kind of like opened this gateway of like, okay, if my mom say it's cool, then it's definitely cool. You know what I mean? So that's my most vivid memories of like me being very, very young and like just art being a part of me. Not really like I want to be an artist or somebody said, yo, draw this. You know what I mean? It was just me always doodling and drawing. I was that kid that like wrote in the textbooks. You know what I'm saying? You remember you had the textbooks and so like, who did this? You know what I mean? So I was always draw stuff, Bart Simpson and all kinds of stuff in the textbooks. I used to get in trouble for that too, but I don't know. I just felt like that was something I needed to do.
You mentioned there that kind of the move in Philadelphia, from there you started playing basketball. I'm wondering if you can kind of continue that story, because it's this really interesting parallel where, you know, you've got all this talent as an artist and then you're also this incredible basketball player. So kind of a two-part question. As you were playing basketball, were in the back of your mind, was it kind of like that still feeling of unfulfillment of like you wanted to be doing more art, or where were things at there? And then kind of just continuing the story of what got you back on the art track as opposed to basketball.
So I moved from West Philadelphia to Southwest Philadelphia when I was probably like around about 10, right? So everybody in West Philly were like getting in trouble. All my friends over there were just like getting in trouble, just doing all kinds of reckless stuff. I guess they like their parents weren't really like involved like in their life. You know what I mean? Because I had friends that literally didn't have no curfew at like 11, 12, like outside all day. It was just like crazy. And I was the kid that was like the lights came on, my mom screaming at the top of her lungs like, Raheem! So all the kids would be like, roll call. I remember everybody saying roll call, right? And I was just like, damn, I kind of wanted to like have freedom like that too. But you know, a lot of my friends went down the wrong road when they didn't have that freedom, right? When they did have that freedom to just do whatever they wanted. So that was always a good thing that I look at now. But so I moved to Southwest Philadelphia and I was always tall, you know what I mean? So I remember me being 10, 11, 12 years old, being like 5'10", right? All my other friends were like 5'1", 5'2", you know what I mean? So I was the tallest kid always. And when I moved to Southwest Philadelphia, the kids in that area they all played sports, football, basketball, baseball. Like every kid that I met was always at like a recreation center or they were signed up for a team. So one of my friends at that time came to my house. I'm in my room at like maybe 10, 11, and I'm 5'11", you know what I'm saying? He's shorter than me, and I'm just drawing. Like, he's like, yo, you don't come to the park? You don't be at the park? And I'm like, no, I don't really go to the park like that. You know what I mean? I just like be in the house or I stay on my block and play like tag football. And we had a crate set up. Everybody played crate ball, right? So I'm like, I usually just stay on my block. He's like, no, come on, we gotta come to the park. So I'm just like, all right, cool. He was like, yo, I'm on this team. I know they're gonna pick you. They're gonna pick you on the team because you're taller than everybody. But I'm like, I know how to play, but I don't really understand the game of basketball. So I'll go though. So make a long story short, I started going to this place, Myers Recreation Center, and that's where we do all our give backs and everything to this day, right? So at Myers, it just opened my mind up to like a bunch of kids playing basketball and football. They had a pool. It was just like a lot. It was like they had like a drumline team. It was just like a whole nother world for me. That was just like, oh wow, I kind of want to be up here because it's cool. But I don't really know how to play basketball. So as soon as the coach seen me, he was like, yeah, come on, you on the team. And I'm like, all right, I guess. So we had a game like the next day. I remember my first time playing an organized basketball game, and I shot the ball on the wrong court. Everybody in the park was like, excuse my language, they was like, wrong court, dickhead. Literally, right? And I was standing there and I was just like, oh my God, I just want to disappear, right? But then at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to work on my game so much. That was my motivation to play basketball. I said, I'm going to work on my game so much, nobody's ever going to remember that I shot on the wrong court, right? So from there, from just like staying in my house, drawing all the time, every day I'm at the court now. You know what I mean? I'm at the court working on my game. And my dad at the time loved basketball, but he wasn't going to push basketball on me. You know what I mean? Because he would always play all the time. But I would want to do some other stuff. I used to do gymnastics and swim. I was doing everything but like the hood sports. It was crazy because my mom worked at University of Penn. So she was like in charge of like the area where it was like pretty much University of Penn's gym area. So they had the Olympic swimming pools. They had the gymnastic floor. They had basketball. They had cricket. They had all this stuff, right? And I would just be like flipping on the mats and stuff like that while he played basketball. So when I moved to Southwest Philadelphia, I kind of started wanting to play basketball because like if you're a kid and like you got like kids 5'1", 5'2", and they're like beating you and you're 5'11", it's like, oh no, this ain't gonna be happening, right? Get the love for basketball, and that kind of like pushed me away from art because everything was directed at basketball. It was different teams and workouts and all kinds of things that I could literally wake up in the morning and then like be busy all day. With art, it was really just like me in my room, you know what I mean? Or if I was to like maybe like go write on some walls or something, like something crazy or whatever, but I didn't really want to do that either because I didn't want to get in trouble or locked up. So it was like basketball was kind of that thing that like really saved me. That was like my safe haven, and it had me super busy. Once I started getting good, I started getting invited to all these different AAU teams and things like that. So at 12, 13, I was playing basketball in like the University of Maryland. Then we went to Vegas. Then we went to Cali. So I'm getting on planes and taking long bus rides to go play in like universities. And I'm seeing kids like, I remember seeing like so many NBA players like back then, to the point where like I would see them like as I'm growing, as I'm 18, 19, and I'm like, yo, I remember playing against that guy. Like, you know what I mean? So it was crazy. So that was like the reason why I really went forward with basketball, because that was the one thing that was directed. It kept me out of trouble. It was super fun, especially when I started getting good. It was like really fun then. And it just kept me out of trouble, and it just kept me on a straight and narrow path.
And so what, you know, and then there was a point where, you know, art became the focus again in your life. Can you explain sort of that part of the story?
Yeah, so when I was 15, me and my mom had got hit by a drunk driver on the way to, it's so crazy, this day, right? It was pouring down raining. And it's just, if you ever been to Philadelphia, it's a spot called South Street. So that's pretty much like if you're in New York or something like that, that's like our Fifth Avenue where everybody goes to shop and all the cool spots and all the cheesesteak spots. It's like the poppin' area in Philly, right? So I was bugging my mom. I'm like, Mom, I'm going on a class trip. I wanted to go get a Versace t-shirt, right? Listen, I don't know where I got the money from. I don't know. But I'm like, I want to get this Versace t-shirt so I can go on a trip and this and that. She was like, no, it's pouring down raining. No. So I'm asking her all day, please, Mom, please, I want to go get this shirt. So she's like, all right, come on. So we wound up going down to South Street. On the way there, it's pouring down raining. We get hit by like this van. It was like crazy, right? So at that time, after the accident, I was in the hospital for like a month. You know what I mean? I had like all kinds of crazy lacerations to my face, my arms. It was like super bad. My mom broke her arm in probably like 16 different places. Like, you know, when you get the the screws through your arm and you got to keep it like this and it's like screws all through it. Like she had like that type of situation. They had to get the jaws of life to get her out the car. It was like the craziest situation ever for me, never being like, other than like falling on my bike, I've never been hurt. You know what I'm saying? So that was like a real turning point for me because for one, basketball had to stop for a while because I was in the hospital for a month. That took me out of everything that was going on day to day with basketball. I had to heal. My arms were cut up. My forehead was like really bad, abrasions and things like that. So even when I went back to basketball, but it was a gap in that time where it was like, I think 6 months of me like at my grandmom's house, rehabilitating. And that's when I got back into art because I was back in the room with nothing to do. And I'm just like, you know what? Let me just grab my books and grab this and grab that and just like start working on ideas and things like that just to keep myself not bored as hell. Like, honestly, bro. So I think that was the turning point for me, which at the time I'm just like, I just felt like the worst ever. You know what I mean? Like when you're 15, that's when you like get your first girlfriend. You think you the man, kind of like start feeling yourself. And it was like I had this scar on my face that like really, really like messed my confidence up. You know what I mean? So me getting back to art and just like focusing on that and just like getting all my ideas out and just trying to make myself feel better, that was the one thing that did it. And prior to that, you know, after I healed up and everything like that, I got back into basketball. It was cool. It was great. You know what I mean? I wound up scoring over 1,000 points in high school, going on to college. But I think that gap of time really had me thinking like, wow, things can happen. Like I could probably get hurt. I could definitely probably break my knee. I could probably, all these different things that would stop basketball. It had me thinking very early about what else I could do and what else I wanted to kind of pursue in my life that came like natural. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, wow, I'm going to have to learn how to be a plumber. That would have been like totally hard or just like something that I had to been directed to do. But I always loved art. And that was the time and point that I started thinking more about, let me start doing my art and wow, maybe. And I started thinking about t-shirts. I want to have a t-shirt company and I want to do these things. It was just like idea. I got to actually think of my creative stuff for months. And I think that's what really like had me thinking as I got 17, 18, 19, like basketball is really political. Excuse me. Basketball is really political. Everybody was like 6'2". Everybody could shoot. Everybody could jump. Everybody was fast. And then as I told y'all, I was going to like AU tournaments at 12, 13. So I'm seeing 7-foot kids. It's not like, you know, in my neighborhood, it's like everybody's around 6'2", whatever, maybe 5'8". I'm going to LA playing against kids that are 14 and they're like 6'7". They're like LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just
not the
like,
tall kid anymore.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, I don't know. This kid kind of crazy. You know, I always did good, but you always seen those kids that were like meant to be basketball players. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was just like one of the turning points.
Ulf, do you realize our audience has been either watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? No, they should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment and turn on notifications. And if you're listening to this podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. So go check out the episode description. You can find all that information below. And we have an update on the NFT, don't we?
That's right. We didn't previously mention this, but this NFT for OG supporter is a one of one. There will only be one of this kind ever minted, and we have a few surprises for the person who purchases it. The link is in the episode description.
And back to the episode.
So Saladeen, a big question for you on this one, and that is to kind of dive into this NFT project that you launched earlier in the month. So we're recording this on November 10th. The record date's going to be a little later in the month. I know the drop, the JP effect happened earlier in November. But I guess, can you just kind of give the background? I know that's a big question because from my understanding, JP was this monumental influence in your life. But can you just talk a little bit about who that individual was, why or how he impacted your life, and then just kind of into the JP effect and how that's kind of paying tribute to him?
Okay, so John JP Thompson is was my best friend that passed away in 2013, very, very young from brain cancer. So I met JP at the skating ring when I was probably like 14, 15 or whatever, right? So we didn't just automatically become best friends. It was like over time, you know what I mean? I seen him when I got transferred from one school. I started to have to catch a train that took me across the city because I went to a prep school because I was in a public school and they didn't really have the what's that called? The qualification. Like not qualifications, but they didn't have the classes that I could be NCAA qualified for. So if I would have kept going to the same public school, I would have just had to go to a JUCO or something like that, just based off of the classes and the curriculums that they had, whatever. Hopefully I said that right, curriculum.
Yeah. It's tough with curriculum, I think.
Yeah. So I went to a prep school actually. So I started seeing JP on a train. And I was just like, yo, you the boy from skating? He's like, yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah, I go to this school, whatever. So as kids, we just started hooking up. And he would come to all my games because it seems like my games would be like mostly in West Philly where we would travel to, because I'm in Southwest, but my whole family's from West Philly. So every team that I played for was like the West Philly Tar Heels and all these West Philly teams, right? So we just got super tight. And he was from another part of Philadelphia. He's from Mount Airy. So Mount Airy is more like suburban, where everybody has a lawn. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's very good schools. People's parents are like dentists and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he was coming from somewhere where he was more cultured than me. His grandmother was a Holocaust survivor. So he's black. He was half black, half like Russian or something. One of those, I'm not sure. I don't want to mess up her ethnicity or whatever, but she was a Holocaust survivor. So he used to tell me about all this type of stuff that, you know, they don't really teach you this stuff in public school. And I'm just like, wow, you know, like, how'd you get this smart? He played tennis. Like, he did all these different things. And I'm just like, yo, bro, this is crazy. So I used to love being around people I could learn from. You know what I mean? So I think that's what really drew me to him was like, he didn't have the regular conversation of just about girls. It was, you know, he loved girls though, but it wasn't just all about girls. It was more like, we would talk about like, people that ran foundations, Arthur Ashe. He worked for the Arthur Ashe program and things like that. And I'm just like, who's Arthur Ashe? You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh, you don't know Arthur Ashe? And I was just like, so he was like one of those dudes that like kept me up on all kinds of stuff. So as we get older, you know, JP, he kind of like, he got kicked out of his house. This is a whole nother story, but my mom let him stay with us for him to finish high school. So we was tight. It wasn't like, just I see him on Saturdays or Mondays. You know what I mean? He was like living at my house for his whole 12th grade year. So after that, you know, he loved me playing basketball. He used to always be like, yo, you got to make it to the NBA. I need a Bentley. As soon as you get to the NBA, I need a Bentley. He was like that type of guy, right? So he was the one that really seen my art, like, because it's in my mom's house. He's like, bro, this is crazy. And he's coming from the suburbs where people go to art school and he knows people who are at art college and things like that. And he's like, bro, I know a lot of artists and they can't really do stuff like this. They like painting pictures of like old people. You know what I mean? He's like, bro, you just got like color schemes and you can write words and you can do characters. He's like, ain't nobody ever teach you how to do this? And I'm like, nah. He was like, bro, you got to start something up. So he was one of the people that pushed me to kind of like start the clothing line. After I left college in my second year to really pursue like my entrepreneur life. Like I had one summer where I was selling t-shirts and I think I don't know how much I made, but I know I made a few $1,000s. You know what I'm saying? Like I had my first car, I bought my first car. I was selling t-shirts out the trunk from everywhere because I knew everybody in the city. So I would call up people I played basketball with that lived in North Philly, South Philly. And I'm like, yo, I got these t-shirts. It was no Instagram. So I had to actually drive to them to show them everything. It wasn't really picture phones either. So it was like, everything was like right in your face if you know what I mean, if you had it. So I started selling t-shirts and all kinds of stuff like that. And I just remember me being in college and me kept hurting my ankles. Like I kept hurting my ankles. I was going to class with crutches. I'm like, basketball it ain't as fun as it used to be. You know what I mean? And I just kept having these entrepreneurial ideas from when I was in a car accident, all these things that I thought I wanted to do. But basketball was always like, I had to play basketball because when you're in Philly and you're known for basketball, you can't just stop playing basketball. Because literally walking to this corner store, people are going to be like, you don't play ball no more? Like, what's up with you? You know what I mean? So it was one of those things. And JP was one of the people that was like, he always highlighted my creativity. Yo, and I'm talking from now from not in high school. So now we're 19, 20, 21, where you got to figure it out. You really like, damn, I would love to get out my mom's house, but I got to find a job, or I got to, find how to get some money and this and that. So he was one of the people that really fueled my art. Like, he got his sister to buy some of my paintings. You know what I mean? He got everybody to like just take notice of what I was doing, to buy t-shirts and do all this other stuff. So he wanted to, have a company. He was like, yo, we should start our own company. At that time, I'm like, our own company? I just know like the hustle. I don't know about like how to form a business. And he's talking about all this stuff. So he was the person that really got me to do the Bear. So now I'm now from 21, now it's like 26. So I did real estate. I did all kinds of stuff, right? I always had a blessing to meet people that were like in a field and see something in me, because I definitely didn't go to real estate school. You know what I mean? It was like one of my friend's cousin, one of my friend's uncles, I'm sorry, he owned a broker shop. So it was for loan officers and home equity lines of credit and refinances. So he had like 6 broker shops, and we used to always go over his house in Jersey for barbecues. And at that time, I'm just talking to him how I'm talking to y'all, and I'm just like super enthused. I'm just on it. You know what I mean? I'm just so much younger, and I'm just like, yo, I could do anything. And he's just like, yo, I think you could work for me. And I'm like, wow, I don't know nothing about, anything in the mortgage business. And he's just like, I could teach you. So make a long story short, I was meeting people and running into like very influential men that seen something in me. So I started doing real estate. The market crashed and the recession was like 2007, 2008. And I couldn't sell any more loans, and I was 100% commission. So if anybody knows about that, it's like you're sitting in the office, and if you don't close a loan, you don't go home with no money. You know what I mean? So I had to figure out like, damn, I need a regular job. So at that point in time, I started working at like kind of like, I don't want to say kid jail, but it's like a lockup for kids in the inner city. You know what I mean? So that's what really, really got me back into the art, because when I was doing loans and all that stuff, I was making nice money, and I never thought that I would do art. I never thought that like art would be able to make me money the way I was making it with real estate. Like I had my own flyers. It was like, had my first suit. It's like, Raheem Johnson, I can get you 2% loans right now. It was like stuff like that. I'm printing these things out, putting them around the city. So I thought I was going to be a loan officer or some type of mortgage broker for the rest of my life. The recession hit. So it's like I always went into these crazy pivotal moments in my life where it was like back to art, because art was the only thing that I could do where it was like, it was fun. It wasn't about money. It was more like, this is what I do to zone out and like keep myself sane almost in this world where I have no clue how to operate, honestly. So JP was one of the people that was like, yo, you got to quit this job. So I was working with the kids for about 2-3 years. And in that time period, he was traveling back and forth to New York, partying, doing all this cool stuff. And he's like, yo, can you go to New York with me? And I'm like, I got to work. He's like, damn, you always got to work. So he called my job the plantation. He was like, oh, so you go back to the plantation? And I just be like so mad at this dude for doing that, because I'm just like, bro, I mean, I need a job. You know what I'm saying? He was like, but you got something in you that if you left that job and you just like show people what you do and you can actually live like kind of being an artist, he was like, you got to meet other artists. You got to just be creating him. And he's like, you could sell anything, bro. You used to sell mortgages. You sold t-shirts. He was like, I think you could just sell what you got. And I'm just like, I don't know how to do it, but I think you can do it. You know what I'm saying? So he was one of them people that was like, all his friends that were talented, he would do whatever he could to like help promote them. You know what I mean? Like I had a bunch of friends that rapped. I had this one friend that sung. He was like the most talented, I thought. Not the most talented, but he was the most talented with a directional gift. Like, because if you sing, you can get in front of somebody and get a record deal. Or, you know what I mean? Like, if you paint, it's kind of like, okay, maybe do something in my house. You know what I mean? Like, it was different. So I remember him, like, going to Atlanta, going to New York, and paying DJs $200, $300 to play the song. Just spin our friend's song. And we just stand in the DJ booth and just react to like how they like it. And I was like, damn, I wish I could rap. Because I know JP is the person that could take me to the next level, because he was investing his own money in all his friends. But with art, it was more like, it was just like more of a conversation, or more of like things that I didn't know. Because when he used to tell people I was an artist, they would ask me all these art questions. And I'm like, I ain't go to art school. So I'm like, they're talking like Spanish to me, you know what I mean? Or Chinese. So I'm like, they're like, so what mediums do you use? And this is 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I'm like, what does mediums mean? You know what I mean? And they're like, you're an artist, right? And I'm like, they're like, well, mediums is, what tools do you use? And what kind of canvas do you work on? And this and that. I'm like, oh, okay. So that got me to start asking a bunch of art questions because I never wanted to be the guy that said I did art. But then somebody asked me like, oh, so do you use oils or acrylics? And I'm like, markers and stuff. Like, or perfect. You know what I'm saying? So he really got me to start understanding what I was trying to pursue. He got me to quit my job. I quit my job 2011. July 4th, actually, 2011. And that was kind of crazy because it wasn't meant for me to quit my job. He'd been telling me to quit my job for months. It was just this one day that I went into the job and I was just like, I think I gotta really like pursue this. I don't have any kids yet. I can literally live on couches if I want to, if I have to figure out, I had to take the back seat to be the driver one day. I always say that. And it was like, I think that's what I would say to other artists or anybody trying to like fulfill something. It's like, you gotta let your ego go for a nice amount of your life to figure it out. Because there's so many things that when you got an ego, you're like, I'm not doing that. But then it's kind of like, you're never gonna get the opportunity to really do what you need to do because you're thinking like you're up here and you aren't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I got so uncomfortable when I left my job that it made me hustle. Like I started calling friends that didn't live in Philly because I knew I had to get out of Philly. I did everything in Philly. I had pop-up shows and was selling my art outside. Like JP got me to start selling my art. It's called First Fridays. To this day, all the artists in the city can go downtown and sell art in front of the galleries where the galleries are and things like that. And people walk past and buy art off the street and things like that. And he was like, Ian, you got to go down to First Fridays and start selling your art. So at first I was kind of like, man, I'm not selling no art outside. Like, how do you even sell art outside? Like, paintings for sale. I didn't know. I'm coming from the inner city and I'm kind of like, had that ego where it's like, yo, I don't want to be looking stupid out there. You know what I mean? So make a long story short, I started selling my artwork out there. He got me to go out there and I sold like my first painting for like $250. And I remember the negotiation with this lady. She was like, I got 200. And I'm like, nah, this piece is $250. I can't. And she's like, well, I'm gonna have to go all the way around the corner to the ATM machine and get more money. And I'm like, I'll be here. You know what I mean? Hopefully the painting won't be sold. So it was like the negotiation was crazy. And I remember not budging, just like, okay, here, take it. So she was like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to come back later. And I was just like, damn, I should have maybe just took that 200. But something in me was like, no, this is worth 250. I know how much time I spent on it. It's a bigger piece, whatever. And I remember her coming back like 2 hours later, like, here, 250. And I was, damn, so she really walked off thinking that she couldn't leave without this. And me being stern enough to be like, no, this is what it's worth. I can't really do that. That was like, okay. That was like the light switch where it was like, I think I can really kind of do this. And I knew how to already sell, you know what I mean? But it was like, selling art was just different because nobody really needs it, They just want it. And then it's something in them that might make them need it if they see something or they're like, oh my God, I feel so, these colors, I don't know. But at that time, I just didn't understand how to really sell art. But fast forward this whole story, right? So JP got me to get out my comfort zone and really start pursuing selling art. So I already had quit my job. So I don't have a job anymore. So it's like every day I got to do things that I don't want to do. I'm going in barbershops. I'm going in South Street every day, going in hair salons and art stores and restaurants. Yo, I got art. Here's my portfolio. I could put this here and I could do this here. It just got the hustle in me to the point where it was like when a thing called Instagram came out 3-4 years later, in maybe 2012, I got Instagram. I remember you couldn't even have Instagram unless you had an iPhone. So I had a T-Mobile at the time, a T-Mobile Razr, right? So I remember having to cancel my plan. That was $250. Then actually buying the Apple product. And that was a whole process for me. So I had to hustle up the money to get out of my T-Mobile plan just to get on Instagram because I'm like, this is what I can do. This is what I can use to show people all over what I do. So it was like process after process after process of me just like living as an artist, right? So I was selling everything from T-shirts to glass. I had my own glasses and it was everything, right? So this is, I'm gonna say 2011, 2012, I moved to Miami. So I moved to Miami living on so my mom has a best friend and me and her son have the same birthday. His name is Barry. He moved to like Milton Hershey. He went to a school called Milton Hershey. So he wasn't in the hood when I was 12, 13. He was at this school that was a boarding school. So he's like a disability lawyer. So when I quit my job, my mom kept on saying, yo, did you ever talk to Barry? Call Barry. He's doing good. He lives in Miami. He's a disability lawyer. And I'm like, Mom, I don't want to call nobody. I don't have no job. I'm living in your basement. Like, I don't feel like talking to him right now. You know what I mean? So she just kept telling me, call Barry, call Barry. So I'm like, all right, give me Barry's number. After like 2 weeks of her just like coming at me, right? So I'm like, give me Barry's number. I talked to Barry that one night, and I haven't spoke to him probably since we was like 15, 16. So now I'm like 20 something, 23, 24. This is 10 years. We ain't talked nothing, but we real close. So I remember being on the phone with him for maybe 2 hours. That talk was for like 2 hours. And he's like, yo, so what you been up to? I'm like, man, I quit my job. I don't play ball no more. I'm just telling him my whole story, running it down. And I'm like, I do art though. And I'm really trying to pursue this. He's like, send me some pictures. So now I got the iPhone. I got Instagram. I'm sending pictures. Crazy. I remember I sent so many pictures. My phone got hot and just like almost cut off. He like, bro, these are crazy. He's like, yo, we just had an interior designer come in our office and just like rearrange the whole thing, and they're putting up paintings, and I'm telling them like, I don't like these paintings back and forth. He's like, bro, I got to show your artwork to my boss. So he wound up showing my artwork to his boss. Beautiful Jewish lady, loved art, and she seen it and was like, oh my God, what school did you go? She asked me all this school stuff, and I'm like, I ain't never go to school for art. I just do it. You know what I mean? She's like, there's no way in the world you can do stuff like this. You didn't go to school. You need to come down here. So I'm like, so I asked Barry, I'm like, yo, bro, I got like maybe $1,200 to my name, right? And I'm like, how much money do you need for me to come down there for like maybe a month or two? And he's like, bro, just do me a paint. I don't want no money. Just do me a paint for my living room. So I'm like, bro, go to Michael's Arts and Craft and get the biggest painting that you need. I'm on the next thing smoking, right? So that just started everything. Once I left Philly and I brought all this Philly hustle and all these people that were just like, didn't care about art. Now I'm in Miami where everybody loves art. Everybody has a beautiful house. Not everybody, but the people that I was meeting had beautiful houses. Excuse me. I remember his boss inviting me over to her house. She lived in Aventura. They had a palm tree in the middle of their living room. Like, wow. This is how crazy the house was. Glass ceilings, palm tree in the middle. And it was like, I want you to do this area of my house. How many canvases would that be? And I'm like, the area had to be like, it was huge, right? So I wound up doing 8 canvases that were all the same. So she was like, I want all my kids' names. I want my husband's name. She was giving me this is like my first commission job. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? Damn, she want all this stuff. So she was like, but I wanted you to do it your way. I'm like, perfect. I could do things my way. So that was my first like $800 that I made from art. But it's not in Philly. It's in Miami. So now I'm in Miami. I'm sleeping on my cousin's couch. And I'm like, literally like, it was no Uber. So I'm catching cabs everywhere and waiting for him to come home from work to drive me places. It was crazy. So that was the first $800 that I made. And then she introduced me to other people that were like, oh my God, I seen the art. This is the guy who did it in your house. Oh my God, I want something. And it just like a snowball to the point where my mom's like, are you coming back home? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's popping down here. You told me to call Barry. I called him and it's popping now. You know what I'm saying? So I might have went off the course a little bit, but JP was the person that kind of got me out my comfort zone for me to be able to be like, I'm not scared to go to Florida and go try to sell my art. I'm not scared to walk into a gallery with no representation and a portfolio and an Instagram page. I know that's totally the wrong way to go about it, but it was just trial and error. And I would have never got that spark or that confidence to do that if JP wasn't pushing me in Philly to do things that was like totally out my comfort zone. So him passing away in 2013 was crazy because he had got me all ready to quit my job. I was already living the art. And now I'm kind of like, you know, so a lot of people, I don't know, a lot of people that I know that had cancer or had any type of cancer scares, they would get the scare and then it would be like, okay, now they got to go do chemo and, you know, it's probably stage 1 or 2. Like his stage was 4 out of nowhere. Kind of like, I remember being in LA and getting a phone call from him, because now I'm sleeping on another friend's couch because now I saved up money and I could go to LA and do all this different stuff. So I remember him calling me like, yo, bro, man, I got a crazy headache. I wanted to come to LA and come chill with you or whatever, but for some reason, like the last couple of days, my head been killing me. He was like, I think I'm gonna just go get it checked out. So I'm like, yeah, man, just go take some Tylenol or something, bro. Go lay down. So the next day he woke up and called me like, yo, bro, I just slept like 13 hours. My girl like couldn't wake me up almost, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, damn, that don't sound regular, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, you might have to get that checked out, bro. So he gets it checked out. And his sister calls me a day later because he doesn't call me back. Like, yeah, they just gave me some whatever. His sister's like, yo, they admitted John in the hospital. They saying like he had some kind of like mass on his brain. And I'm like, mass on his brain? I'm like, what the hell is that? So she like, well, I don't know. They talking about he needed surgery. And I'm like, head surgery? This ain't like your leg or your ankle. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna try to fly back as soon as I can. So with that situation going on, I fly back, make a long story short, he's in the hospital. He already had one brain surgery when I got to the hospital to see him from this phone call. This is 2-3 days later. And I'm like, he was talking weird. So I knew it was like, he was like the sharpest person that I knew, bro. He was like, as I told you earlier, he was like the smartest dude, was teaching me about all kinds of stuff. So the way he was talking, I'm just like, damn, this ain't good. Because it was all over the place. He was talking about like prom and the mall. It was like all these thoughts jambling up and he's just speaking them. And I'm like, I'm just trying to like not let him know that like, yo, bro, this seemed crazy. So I'm just literally like trying to be like the best friend I can be, where it's like I'm just going along with the shit that he's talking about. And I know it's like all over the place. And I'm just like, damn, this is crazy. So he had to get another surgery. He had 4 brain surgeries before he passed away. So he had another brain surgery. So it went from him talking crazy all over the place to him not really talking. And I'm like, damn, so he's not able to like speak right now. You know what I mean? And he's like saying little stuff. And I remember us watching the finals. This is when LeBron played for the Heat. So I remember he was just like, never bet against LeBron. He never bet against LeBron. And they wound up winning the championship that year, right? So it was just so crazy. It was like talks that we was having, but it was like every other day he would get like he would just go down and down and down. So it went to the point where he wasn't even talking and he was just like making like face gestures. I remember his mom and his sister like just talking a whole lot in the hospital room, and he just giving me this face like and I was just like laughing just like that. You crazy. So I'm thinking worst case scenario, right? He's gonna have to get chemo. He's gonna have to go to some kind of like like a center to get like better walking and all kinds of stuff. But I was like, yo, we just got, man up and just get you better. So it wound up happening like maybe he was in the hospital for maybe a week and a half. So I'm going there every day, and I didn't have much money at the time, right? So every day when you park at the hospital, it's like $22. No, it's like $26, right? And I remember paying $26 for like 11 days, right? And I'm like, JP gotta get out this damn hospital. Like, seriously. Right? So the day that I said that to myself, I walk up into the hospital and he's not in the room. So I'm like, excuse me, I'm asking nurse, yo, where did you move John Thompson to? Because he was in his room yesterday or the day before or whatever. And they're like, could you go in the other room with his family? And I'm like, oh shit, like what is this, right? So I walk in the room and like his mom's crying, his sister's crying, his girlfriend's crying, you know what I'm saying? His girlfriend was pregnant at the time, right? And it was just like, she's crying, everybody's crying. I'm like, I know he ain't just like passed away. Like, I'm just like, it's like the craziest feeling in your head when it's like, and I'm asking everybody and they like, he passed away last night. I'm just like, what? And I remember like just walking out the room and walking in the hallway, and I'm just walking down this hallway in a hospital, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, it's nothing that I could like even, it was just like the most like, I don't know, like devastating, crazy time in my life. Cause I left out the hospital like, what do I do now? Kind of like I ain't had no clue, because I had friends pass away, but not like from cancer. You know what I'm saying? I had friends that were like in the streets and something happened, or they get locked up or they get shot. not saying that was a easier feeling, but being like dying from cancer and you're like 28 years old, 27 years old, out of nowhere was like, I couldn't really process it. I really couldn't process it. So my biggest thing was like, do I use this as an excuse to not pursue what I've been doing? Or do I kind of like use everything that he was putting into me, almost like one of his missions was to get me where I needed to go before he was going. You know what I mean? Because that's what it seemed like. It was literally like, this dude used to get on my nerves about me doing something and going out. He used to be like, hey, man, you be bullshitting. That's the one thing about you. You got all this talent, but you be bullshitting. And I used to be like, how I'm bullshitting? He's like, bro, because you ain't really like, did you do what you do today? What kind of art did you do today? Who did you try to meet today? Did you go downtown today? Like, and I'm just like, bro, leave me alone. Like that type of friend, right? Like, yo, just let me do me. And it was like literally every day he would not let me just like be regular. He used to tell me like, yo, stop trying to be regular. And I'm like, how I'm trying to be regular? I got a job, you know what I mean? I'm staying out of trouble. He like, because like you can do more than that shit. Like you can do way more than just like have a job in an okay car, bro. Like, yo, you could be like, it wasn't even about money. He was just like, bro, you can like get anything. You can like probably have like a Benz one day. You could like, bro, offer you doing art and you being like a good guy. You know what I mean? And I'm just like who gets a Benz from just being a good guy? You know what I'm saying? So I'm in my head like going back and forth with him all the time. So when he passed away, I literally was getting all of these conversations just hitting me. Just like, yo, Heem, you need to do this. You need to do that. New York's going to be the spot for you. I'm telling you, do this. Stop bullshit. It's all in my head. You know, I took maybe a couple weeks of just like being human and being like, man, fuck everything. You know what I mean? Excuse my language. But that's the feeling I was having. But then it was like, I would hear him in the back of my head like, damn, you bullshit. Damn, you really gonna stop? What, you gonna get another job? Like, and I'm just like, and it's only me. You know what I'm saying? So it was JP and me. And I had other friends, but they were on a mission like how we was on missions. It was like everybody was okay with being in the hood, partying, just doing whatever they was doing, having girlfriends, making babies. We wasn't on that. We was trying to really be somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I just was like, I just left Philly again. And it just seemed like all these amazing things, like I just started getting all these amazing blessings. I started running to the right people. And JP was already like coaching me, like life coaching me how to be around people with money, not being extra. Heem, you got to go super hard. If somebody give you some money, Heem, for a commission or some kind of art, don't BS and take long just because you want to go do some other stuff. If somebody give you some money, make sure you make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much like show more and talk less. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being like, just don't make no false promises and they used to just grill me up with this stuff, right? And also create a brand. Because he was like, bro, you need something that was in Africa and I seen your art, I would know it was your art. Because the abstract art I was doing at the time, it's like, you know, you go into any nice hotel, they got like an abstract piece on the check-in booth and stuff like that. You don't know who did it. You're just like, oh, that's crazy, or like, whatever. But bro did it. So he used to go through my books and he's the bear that I was creating, that JP the Money Bear, but it wasn't JP the Money Bear. It was just me creating all kinds of stuff, almost like a scratchbook of V-Friends where I did all kinds of characters and whatever. And he picked out that bear years before he passed, years before he got sick. And he was like, bro, I can see this on everything. And I'm like, this? It was pencil and marker. And I'm like, this? He was like, bro, I can see it on book bags, shirts, jackets. And I had a Nike sweatshirt on at the time. And he was like, why you buy that sweatshirt? And I'm like, because it matched my sneakers. He was like, but it's a brand. You wanted a Nike hoodie to match your Nike shoes, right? He's like, you wouldn't wear the Adidas shirt with the Nike. So he used to always talk like this about branding. And I'm just like, I guess, man, whatever. So when he passed away, I started getting all these ideas. I'm like, damn, he did say work on that bear. So I start painting more of the bear. I start working on it, putting the money in the eyes. It was money in both of the eyes at first. It was like the bear just gradually over time became what it is now. But it was me working on it and putting my abstract creativity inside this bear and different color schemes and this and that, and putting it on t-shirts and putting it on hats and getting stuff printed. And that's like what people really know me for today. Like today I have an art show that's opening in Philly. It's called No Middle Class. And it's just basically speaking on my life and it's no pop art, no bears, no nothing that everybody know me for. It's me introducing just me growing up in Philly. I like recreated myself as a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, just playing basketball, walking through the neighborhood, wheeling my bike all day, like the things that I did as a kid. And it's just crazy, man. So I just also, the reason why my NFT project is the JP effect, it's just based on the effect that he had on my life and the effect that he had on my life to get me to where I'm at. To now people are having this effect from my life where I didn't even think I could do none of this stuff. Now I got people for years asking me, yo, I think I should quit my job. What should I do? I want to really quit my job and pursue art or pursue whatever they want to do. You know what I mean? And I'm really sitting there talking to people, encourage them like, yo, you can do it, but it's not going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want you to just be like thinking the life's like Instagram where it's like, I'm telling you, I quit my job. Now you see all this stuff going on. It's like, bro, I was literally sleeping on my friends' couches, putting the money that I saved up in my Jordans. Like, I didn't have an account. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I was just living off of my gift. Like, literally, I wasn't buying Gucci when I sold paintings. I wasn't buying Jordans. You know what I'm saying? I was like doing whatever I had to do. I definitely made sure I looked good. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't buying the excessive things. Then I wouldn't have any investment money to go buy more paint, more canvases, a flight to wherever I needed to go, lunch for people sometimes. Sometimes I took people to lunch because I know that's how business went when I was doing mortgages. People take companies to lunch. So I would take people that like clients to lunch and they would be like, wow, nobody's ever did this when I bought art. And I'm just like, well, you know, this is a little different. My business different. You know what I'm saying? I implemented everything that I went through into my business. So the JP effect is pretty much just like, it's 1234 PFPs, a whole lot of different utilities. Saturday night, we're actually having a reveal party at the 4040. That was one of JP's best spots that he went to, right? So it's sponsored by Duce. And I pretty much told this story to the people at Duce, like, yo, I want to implement my NFT, my physical art with the brand, because like everything that we did was like top notch. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like, I didn't want to do anything where it's like, I'm working with a brand that I don't really like, but they're going to pay me. And it's kind of like, I'm kind of almost like faking it when I'm like, yo, I'm so excited to be a part of. No, anything that I say, I'm so excited to be a part of, just like with the V-Friends, like the whole video and everything. I was so excited to be a part of V-Friends community. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't fake just because it was an opportunity. So it's like, everything just has to work organic with me and my brand. And I think it was super organic for me to like have JP as a vinyl toy, as a painting, hopefully a cartoon one day, an NFT project. The Web3 space is what's going to lead to all of those different things, you know, like the Pixar movies and all that kind of stuff. So I had to learn digital art to even be a part of all this stuff. So it's been a trial and error through my whole career. So it's just nothing was easy. You know what I mean? So when I get these opportunities to meet a Gary V he understands the grind, you know what I'm saying? So he understood my story and just was like, he loved my art before we even talked. So when I told my story, he was just like, wow, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just thinking like, damn, I hope he, you know what I'm saying? Like he thinks he picked it. He made sure that he picked the right person. So that's why when I came out to Atlanta, I was just like, I'm gonna just be organic, man. Cause I'm not like a public speaker or nothing. You know what I mean? I'll just tell my story. I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm gonna let people know that I don't know everything about the Web3 space. I'm not a genius in this stuff. I'm not a genius in art. I'm just going along this journey and doing me. You know what I mean? So the JP Effect, we launched it last Friday. So it's going pretty good. But it's a lot of onboarding. So a lot of my collectors are people who buy physical things. They buy with credit card and cash. That's what they do. And me trying to get them into NFTs, if they're not in NFTs, is a whole educational process. I got to let them know what's the benefits in it, you know, especially in a bear market. I got to really kind of like sell it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really for the future. It's not really something that's going to be an overnight success, just like me. I wasn't an overnight success. And the project is something that is going to be tied to all my physical products. So, and my events and all kinds of other things. And me watching how Gary works, I can't wait till I can do an event like, you know, like the Gift Gold event or VCon or something crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it just comes with building a community. So right now, I would have loved to mint out the project as soon as it came out. But at the end of the day, I don't think I would have really appreciated the building of the community thing. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are like, oh, you just did something with Gary V. Oh, it's going mint out so soon. And I'm just like, I don't think it's supposed to though. You know what I mean? Because then I'm going to think everything's going to be just so sweet and so easy, and it wouldn't be organic, organic community. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of people on my Discord are like, well, why didn't Gary post it? Why didn't Gary post anything? And I'm like, because he's not supposed to post it. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be, he gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. You know what I'm saying? To tell my story, show what I do to a whole group of guys, amazing people that came from all over the world. That's how it's one step after the other. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want it to just like, oh, I minted out, now I got to start this next project. And then it'd have been too crazy. So now, as this is going slower, I'm learning, my team's learning. We building up every day. Every day I'm on the Discord. Every day I'm on Twitter. I never used to be on Twitter. I like kind of hated Twitter. Like literally, I thought Twitter was just like a rant social media page. You know what I'm saying? Where you just like, I'm having a bad day. You know what I mean? So it's like, I never really got into that because I was like, I never want like a bad tweet or something like from like 2011 to come back up. And it's like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I ain't writing too much stuff or whatever, right? So Big J is the one that got me on Twitter. Like, you got to get on these Twitter spaces. You got to hear these people talking about their projects and see how the whole situation goes. So it's been a journey, man. And the JP effect, I think visually might be one of the dopest things that we created. Technology-wise, a lot of people got to catch up. But I'm just glad that I'm getting into this space early. You know what I mean? Because 4 years from now, 5 years from now, it's going to be insane.
Well, by the way, I love your story. There's so much to it. There's so many layers, and it honestly is it's an inspiring story. I think probably for many people listening to this right now. And on that note of inspiration, I wanted to ask, we're getting to the end of this. We'll get to our final 3 questions we ask every guest here. But I wanted to ask for those who are who are other artists looking to get into the Web3 space, and maybe they're feeling somewhat intimidated. They're not familiar with what that might mean to get into Web3 and NFTs and what that's all about. You know, what advice would you have for those artists?
The advice I would have is pretty much like, just be okay with being vulnerable. Because I think everybody that's really like made it, you got to ask questions. You got to say, I don't know this sometime, unless you just want to be the guy that's like the head nodder, like, oh yeah, I know what Ethereum is, and you really have no clue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was the person that was just like, okay, I need to know everything at the ground level. You know what I'm saying? Good thing that my manager was always into crypto. I got introduced to crypto in 2017. A collector wanted to pay me in crypto, pay me in Bitcoin. And I was like, pay me in what? You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I have no clue what you're talking about, but if it's not money, I'm not with it, right? So just thankfully that my manager had Bitcoin and crypto at the time, where he's like, bro, that cash, you're just gonna spend it. Just have something to hold. It's gonna go up and down. So he gave me the whole spill, like 2017. I'm like, all right, I do half Bitcoin, half cash. I still was like, I don't know, bro. I got to pay bills. I need to fly here and there. I'm living out of my suitcase. So it's like the Bitcoin wasn't really like you could just move it around how you could do now. You know what I'm saying? So, and I still had that piece of Bitcoin, which the cash has been going. You know what I mean? So it's like, I understand that, but it was trial and error that I had to go through to understand it. So what I would say for other people is like, be okay with being vulnerable, ask a lot of questions, get in these Twitter spaces, get off Instagram for a little while, and really start like using your brain other than like watching people and seeing what they're doing. Because Instagram's a highlight reel. You know what I mean? It's a lot of cool inspirational stuff, but it's more like a highlight reel. And if you want to laugh and joke and stuff like that, you know what I mean? That is a time killer almost, you know? But good for business if you use it right. Twitter was more like community based, like more to the point where it's like, it's people on there that I'm meeting and they're just like reposting stuff, and it's so crazy. And then once I did the situation with Gary V, that was amazing. But all of these things came from like, I had no clue that I was ever going to meet Gary V. I followed him maybe 5 years ago and just like loved what he did. And like, damn, he reminds me of kind of like how JP used to be like coming at me, but an older JP, you know, that's been through a whole lot more and did a lot more. So that's where the like the attraction for Gary V came from me was more like, damn, he motivates me. He like motivates me, and I got this in me already. It's great to hear somebody that's like a notch, well, way notches above you, saying the same thing that's going on in your head. And I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? So I would just tell people to just be vulnerable and just be creative, because at the end of the day, the Web3 space is literally the future. It's almost like almost if you wanted to stay with the T-Mobile Razor. And now you're on your phone and you can just be on Google. You can be on all these social platforms. You can FaceTime. That was never before. So if you look at life, you got to look at life like that. It's like, okay, do you just want to stay the Razor guy where you can't FaceTime or you can't, it's like nobody wants to be that guy, but you got to be that with your life and with your career and everything as well too. You just got to level it up, because the world is moving so fast that it's like, even with me being a part of the Web3 space, I'm thinking about 3 years down the line, like, how can I do this? How can I make my project every day seem more attractive to people? You know what I mean? It's so many people that don't know who King Saladeen is. You know what I mean? And I know that. I know that I'm not like top tier 10 artists in the world. When you just mention my name, they're like, oh yeah, I know that guy. No, I got to reinvent myself and meet people every day. That's another reason why I made sure that I came to the VeeFriends event after the event, because I'm like, I got to make sure that I get a bond with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because who knows I might need help with anything in this world. And in your community, it was like doctors, it was like rabbis, it was all kinds of people there. It was a guy with a kilt on. He was like from Britain or something. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. He's like, I love your work. And I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. So, I mean, it's just building a community. Like, it's just building a community. And it's like, it's understanding that the world is moving in a certain direction. It's either you can fight it or you can go with it and then create your own world inside of the world. You know what I mean? So I would just encourage people to just like, don't be scared, because at the end of the day, being uncomfortable is what's going to take you to the next level, not being comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's like Kobe Bryant wasn't amazing because he didn't feel like working out, or he was like, oh, I already made 10 million, 20 million, $100 million. I'm going to just chill all summer. It's like, no, that's not the situation. So it's kind of like you just got to have that inside of you too. And a lot of artists are very like non-business people. So I'm blessed to have a business side of myself, an athletic side of myself that's like, I'm a competitor, one. Two, I understand business. I understand I'm going to need a team. I can't do everything. And just in time, it just all organically came together. So I would just say for everybody, just like, yo, just get uncomfortable for a year or two. You got to get uncomfortable for a year or two. And it's like, that's when the blessing's going to come. Because I'm very spiritual, not very, very spiritual, but I believe in God and a higher power, right? So I understand if you're working towards something, you're getting closer every day. You have to be getting closer every day. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, we here to do something. So you got to figure out what it is and just pursue it.
Yeah, Saladeen, this has been such an awesome conversation. It's funny, when Ulf and I launched this podcast, we didn't really know exactly the turns it would take. Like a lot of the early conversations and podcast episodes would be on specific coins or talking to founders or developers. And then all of a sudden this NFT boom happened in 2021. And all of a sudden we found ourselves talking to artists and just the culture side of it and everything along those lines. And it's just such a cool conversation hearing your story. I think this is going to be a great episode for those people who are aspiring artists or anyone who kind of wants to take their craft to the next level, because you clearly had that foresight and that ability to, that the Razor example is a great one of identifying Instagram early on and that kind of thing. So really appreciate that. As Ulf mentioned, we do have 3 questions we ask every single guest at the end of every episode. It's a segment we call You Had Me at Crypto. Ulf's going to ask you those rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right. You ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. The first question here. Who's your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
My favorite person to follow in the crypto space.
Web3, NFTs.
Gary V and the VeeFriends.
Yeah. Yeah. Good call. Good call.
I feel like I could have predicted that one.
Yeah,
It's
right.
good
That's
answer.
easy.
It's the easy
Who
one.
else would I like say? Like that's an organic answer though. That's not like just because we're on this call. Like
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Second question. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
I'm hoping 10 million of Bitcoin. I'm hoping, you know what I mean? Because it's like right now is the best time to get into it. So if you, especially today, I looked at my coin. I'm like, oh my God. So
It's been a rough week.
It's been a very rough week. Like every day it went down. It's been going down and down and down. I'm like, it's crazy. But yeah, hopefully like 10 million a coin, man.
10 million. Let's do it.
Love
Let's
it.
see it. All right. Third question. What's the most underrated coin or project in all of the crypto Web3 space?
Other than the JP effect.
I was about to say the JP effect. I don't know. I love Wisby stuff. Wisby's an artist. He's a traditional artist that moved into the Web3 space really early. I love Wisby stuff. I was working with a group of people in Indonesia named the Monaverse. So Monaverse, Wisby, and I love the Hapes.
Yeah.
Those the monk like.
I know what you're talking about. I don't know a lot about the project, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know a whole lot about the project either, but visually and like the collaborations that they were doing with Adidas and things like that was like very, very, very cool. And it's like I'm very visual, so it's like if it's visually dope, I'm more enticed to like work with it.
Awesome. Well, Saladeen, this has been an awesome conversation. We're excited to kind of follow along in your career path and see how things go in the Web3 space. But thank you so much for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.